Welcome to the Do Good X podcast, a sanctuary from the entrepreneurial grind. Hosts Kimberly Danielle and Stephen Lewis, advocates for impactful entrepreneurship, guide you on the path where purpose meets business. Join us to slow down, reconnect, and explore the challenges of under-resourced entrepreneurs, uncovering the unique journey of building businesses that make a difference. Now, your host.
Welcome to the Do Good X podcast. My name is Stephen Lewis, and I'm a catalyst for positive change in communities and businesses. And for over 2 decades, I've inspired leaders and entrepreneurs to live and work on purpose, with intention, with faith, and a commitment to their well-being. I'm joined here today with my co-host, Kimberly Dane. Hey, Kimberly.
Hey, Stephen. Good to be here as always. I am Kimberly Danielle, a community builder, a coach, and a communication strategist who comes from generations of faith-driven leaders and entrepreneurs that believe our purpose should drive us to contribute to the common good. And I am looking forward to this conversation today. If you have been tuning in, this conversation will really build upon the last couple of episodes where we have focused on building and leading businesses with purpose, with intention, and the values that really guide our work to do good in the world and in our communities. So today we have a wonderful guest who is doing just that. And we are grateful that he's taken the time to share his story, wisdom, and insights. We have a Reverend Dr. Heber Brown III, who has been a catalyst for personal transformation and social change for more than 20 years. And it is so wonderful and funny that looking back now, I've really seen the journey over the past decade or so in his work, which has been incredible. For nearly 14 years, he served as pastor of a Baptist church in Baltimore, where he saw and personally experienced the impacts of food apartheid. This helped to inspire him to launch the Black Church Food Security Network, which advances food security and food sovereignty by co-creating Black food ecosystems anchored by nearly 250 Black congregations, in partnership with Black farmers and other food justice stakeholders. He serves on the board of Bread for the World and senior church advisor to Justice Connection, which is the premier Black attorney referral network in the country and has garnered numerous awards, including an Ashoka Fellowship. He is the author of the forthcoming book, Nothing More Sacred: Radical Stories of Black Church Faith, Food, and Freedom. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
So we are going to start with, this is an episode that is really driven by talking about leading with purpose and intention. And so I just want to start off by asking, what are 3 values that shape the way that you lead today?
Wow. I would say one of them is agency. I think a lot about agency. And for our work, honoring the voice, the insight, the perspective, the lived experience of our communities is utterly important. And in fact, it's one of the reasons why this network exists in the first place, because when it comes to food and the like, the voices of those most directly affected by food apartheid in our community are oftentimes relegated to the sidelines and not front and center. So I would say agency is big for me. Love is big. Love for family, love for community is really big. Is the driving force and sustainable fuel for the work that I do. I like to think about, sometimes I like to think about my work and our organization as like the favorite relative who runs to the store real quick to get what you want to eat. And so, hey y'all, I'm going to the store. Y'all need anything? Like that. Like, love does that. Love checks in with folk before they make the run to go get the stuff to bring back so that all can be nourished. And so love is huge. So agency, love, and I'll just add a sense of justice. Social justice is really big. It just, what is that love, in the words of Dr. Cornel West, that justice is what love looks like in public. And so that social justice element is good. It's great to love my community. It's great to love myself and love God. How does that love work itself out in public policy? How does it work itself out in the mechanics of the social fabric and how we feed ourselves and nourish one another? And so that's what I would say off top.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are good. So, Heber, tell us about the story of the Black Church Food Security Network. What inspired the creation and the launch of it?
Yeah. Well, as Kimberly said, I was blessed to pastor the Pleasant Hope Baptist Church here in Baltimore City for 14 years. And while serving as pastor of that church, I just really got tired of seeing my members go in and out of the hospital over and over again. And sure, I did what seminary taught me to do: scripture, prayer, hospital visits, encouragement. But I got antsy, and I was like, can we swim upstream and address some of the issues that's causing the members of my church to be in this merry-go-round of hospitalization, homebound, at the church for a couple Sundays, then back in the hospital all over again? How can we interrupt that? And I also got tired of the sick and shut-in list, is what we used to call it in the church in my upbringing. And you'd have the same names or the same family names on that list week after week, month after month. And it almost felt like people got used to just seeing those names on that list. And so in the course of visiting members of the church who were hospitalized and sharing in sacred conversation with them, I heard something that caught my attention. There were a number of members I was going to see, and though they had different maladies, different situations going on, health and food became a pattern that I saw popping up in their respective stories. And so after recognizing that pattern, my initial thought was to establish a partnership with the local market that would help me to create a pathway for nutrient-dense food from the market to our church. And this market was right across the intersection. But when I went to that market to see about establishing some type of partnership, I got sticker shock because of the prices of the food there. But then also there were some cultural disconnects with that market. And so even though it was right across the street from us, right across the intersection, it was far away in other ways. And I was not willing to lead my congregation into a partnership that I know would create economic obstacles off the rip. And then number two, the cultural pieces that really flowed against and flow contrary to who we are were still in place there. And I was like, nah, I'm not leading my church into that kind of partnership. And I didn't want to lead my congregation into a partnership also where I felt like we would have to bow and genuflect to those who had the food that we needed. If I believe, and I do, that food is a human right, it's a God-given right, and food is a part of the abundance of the divine that God makes possible, then why do we have to bow and beg those who have markets in our communities? And so my idea didn't pan out, but God had a different idea. I left out of that market frustrated because what we needed was right at our fingertips. But as I left that market, God showed me a vision with the little piece of land we have near the front yard of our church that we weren't doing anything with. God showed me a vision for a garden. And I remember going into the congregation to talk to them about us starting to grow our own food. And then other light bulbs start to go off because most of the members of my church here in Baltimore have roots down the country, as we say. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia. So they came north during the Great Migration. And many times, Stephen, I will say that, we've studied the Great Migration. And when I've studied the Great Migration, I've studied it looking through the lens of just people moving from one place to the next place.
Right.
But it was not until these moments early on in this work that I'm doing that I started to think about what else traveled with the people? Not just the bodies, what came with the bodies? And one of the things that traveled with the bodies was knowledge of and relationship with land, farming, and food. That also traveled. The science, the insight, the discipline of how to not just grow food, but how to preserve it. So from mason jars, from blanching and everything else, all of this wisdom also traveled with these African Americans. So in my own church, unbeknownst to me up until that moment, we had a great abundance of genius right under our noses that could address the social issue of food apartheid that we were faced with. And so instead of leaning into a charitable avenue, we tapped into the genius of the people in the pews. As one of my dear comrades in this work, Pastor Brenda White of the Allen AME Church here in Baltimore, we helped them do a garden and a bunch of other things. But she said recently, the power is in the pews. And that's what I saw. Because these folks who grew up down south, who were now in Baltimore, the deep, what we call sometimes the deep north. Maryland is the deep north. And so these folks rose from the pews and said, I can help. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. And long story short, we worked together to transform the front yard into a garden. And the food that we started growing transformed our ministry. It was not it was 1,500 square feet, but that food it started going into our church kitchen. It started going home with our members, our neighbors. And we started to do mega ministry as 125 people in the church. We started doing some mega ministry around food and food sovereignty. And it got me to thinking, there's nothing so special about Heber Brown or this church that this can't be replicated elsewhere. And so other churches, Black churches also have land, a kitchen, people who have roots down south, who have knowledge of farming and land, and the felt need as it relates to food. And so for the past 15 years total for me, 10 years for the Black Church Food Security Network, we've been helping to connect the dots, stitch together the fabric of this network, lean into each other, learn from one another, and basically, I'm going to age myself a little bit, help to engineer and architect like this FUBU food system or FUBU food ecosystems with an S that almost dance together like a grandfather clock gears. They dance together, whether you're talking about the Richmond metro area, the Baltimore metro area, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, the ways that you can stitch together these ecosystems that can be in relationship with other ecosystems. And before you know it, now you have this network that is helping to support our community. And that's where we are.
That's incredible, Heber. And just as a follow-up question, what in that initial garden that you created, how many pounds of food did you yield?
Yeah, 1,200 pounds of produce every growing season. And largely because, again, we had folks with know-how. It wasn't a huge lot, but they knew how to work that land and they knew how to rotate it and make sure the soil was not depleted. It was being replenished regularly and all that kind of stuff. And so 1,200 pounds of produce we were growing every growing season. And that helped to teach me. I have roots down in rural Virginia and rural North Carolina, but I was born in Baltimore City. I thought you needed acres upon acres to do anything worth talking about when it comes to growing food. But the elders at Pleasant Hope Baptist Church, and now so many more others across our many churches, are showing me you don't need acres upon acres. You don't even need 1 acre. If you got a yard, you can make that yard sing if you know what to do with it.
It is amazing that happened. And you all listening in, 1,500 square feet, 1,200 pounds of food in a year. And I had the privilege of seeing this space. And I remember you talking about us taking a walk to the market that you were talking about. And you referenced it, this being a food mirage. It's there. The food is there. The healthy food is there. But the community, the Black community, found it inaccessible because of those price tags. So I think it's one thing I'm thinking about in social entrepreneurship and connecting with our community, you tapped into the genius that existed in the community to address the need in the community and to develop a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really powerful. When you talk about, these ecosystems, I know a shared ecosystem can really create a wonderful ripple effect of change and support. So in your work with farmers and congregations and community, what is one challenge that you've encountered in building this ecosystem, but also a huge opportunity that has emerged from it?
Here's the challenge. No, let me flip it. Let me go to opportunity first. Y'all, we have more in our hand than we even realize. That's not being utilized to the level of output that it could be experiencing. And as a result, we as a community are experiencing great hardship in a number of ways, especially now. But it's not because we don't have anything. It's because we are not tending well and being the best stewards, the most creative, innovative, brave, courageous stewards that we can be with what we already have. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the land. Collectively speaking, Black churches collectively own more land than any other sector of Black America. The land is in the church. And so I know that you have people who are watching and listening who are of various religious and spiritual identities that I continue to honor and I will learn from the rest of my life. I've studied African traditional religions, taking classes in Ghana, West Africa, from my Muslim family, been in the mosque, from my Jewish family, been in the synagogue. And so the tapestry of our religious identity is so rich, and all of it, the fingerprints of that tapestry is all over my life. And I'm so very grateful for that. And when it comes to furthering Black food sovereignty, the Black church has no rival when it comes to the great treasure trove and inventory of land that we already have deed and title to. And in this country, whether we like it or not, in this country, having deed and title to land puts you in position to do something quite impressive to help prop up yourself, your family, and your community. So if you know that for us, so home ownership workshops, and you got to buy a home. All of us, we remember when the messaging around the path to wealth is buying a home. You got to become a home owner. Like, that message was very loud. If we know that to be true, if we believe that to be true from an individual standpoint about buying a home and owning a piece of land, how much more is it true for a community that has massive amounts of land from the West Coast to the East and every point in between? And what I'm telling you is, in terms of the challenge, is that land, and not just the land, the kitchens that are connected to these Black church spaces, the vans currently sitting on the parking lot, not going anywhere, the parking lots that are currently not being utilized, especially in urban centers where parking lots and spaces for parking is at a premium. This stuff is sitting underutilized, if used at all, Monday through Saturday. That's the great opportunity, is that it's right there. Here's the challenge connected to it. Kimberly, to your question, I feel burdened by trying to make a compelling enough argument to rising generations of entrepreneurs and innovators and creatives to see the Black church as canvas for your genius that can not only improve your life, but can be literally the force that can put us in motion as a community to address the fundamental needs of our entire community. I feel burdened, in part because, honestly, Black churches can have a mixed record when it comes to a number of things that great things that we can celebrate about Black churches. And equally, there are things that we hang our head in shame about. And we're like, man, we got to do better. The complexity, the paradoxical nature of the Black church community is equal to the complexity and paradoxical nature of the Black community. The Black church is simply a microcosm of what is happening in our community as a whole. But because of those unfortunate or unjust experiences or chapters that are part of the history of some churches, some people say, you know what, I'm getting away from that. I don't want nothing to do with no church. And I understand. I really do. I get it. And I also am praying for a remnant for those who don't feel particularly called to work within Black church spaces. Now, hear me clear. I'm not saying I'm trying to drag nobody down the aisle and baptize you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in Jesus' name. I ain't saying I'm putting no oil on your forehead. I ain't saying none of that. I'm saying to work within the orbit and ecosystem of these Black church spaces to help these spaces connect with the larger and bigger picture that can help address not just food. I know my thing is food sovereignty, but housing, childcare. Pick a thing. So many cooperative principles already are in force and in play at Black churches that if you could just hitch a few things to it and then connect it to something bigger and do political education and or discipleship, as we say in church, to help us renew our minds, it can really be a powerful force. And so the opportunity is the assets, the knowledge, the wisdom. The challenge is, how do we get more folks, innovators, entrepreneurs, creatives in the pathway to lean into these spaces, not in a microwave kind of way, because you're not going to bust up in nobody's church and overnight now have the keys to the space. It takes time. It's a crock pot. It's a slow cooker. But if you put some time in, it'll come back in some very powerful ways.
So, Heber, can you share with us one of your favorite stories of how the Black Church Food Security Network has transformed congregations or the communities that speaks to this very point? Because you have decided to work with and recognize the value of these communities, in particular Black church communities, and you've done something very powerful. So maybe you have a favorite story you'd like to share, the impact that you've made as a result of doing just what you just described.
Yeah, so one of them is, let me come back to Atlanta. We were grateful a couple of years ago to connect with Ebenezer Baptist Church. And Pastor Raphael Warnock said to me at an event, he said, Heber, we've been doing food charity for 60 years. We want to be a food justice church now. And so we started working with their leadership and their members, and then also started working with Black farmers in rural Georgia. I still remember the day where we did like a matchmaking meeting where I brought a room of Black farmers together with Pastor Warnock and his leadership at Ebenezer. We sat down in the room together for relationship building and just talking out what might be possible. And after some time of talking together and learning from each other, et cetera, we landed at the idea of doing a community-supported agriculture program at their church, a CSA program. And many of your viewers and listeners will know that a CSA program is essentially like a subscription box program where you put your money up front, pay a farmer before harvest, and then when harvest comes, that farmer will bring you week after week boxes of produce from the farm. Depending on the program, it might be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. It depends. But the basic concept is you pay the farmer first. They take the money, they go buy seed, soil, everything that they need. And then later in the harvest, you get your return. And so we put that idea forward at the Ebenezer Church and bring the farmers and church leadership together. We connected with Bread and Butter Farms in Monroe, Georgia. And I still remember the first week when harvest came, the first week, we had nearly 100 members of that church who had paid their money in April. Now, we need to slow down on this because y'all know better than me. But when you talk about economic behavior, right? Yeah. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to get people and families to change their economic behavior, even if they agree with the ideology and the message of what you're saying. We get into the habit. Even if y'all know what grocery stores you go to, you know what kind of brands you buy. And this is why also corporate America works so hard to keep their message and image in our face, because it helps to create a certain kind of routine that we get used to and comfortable with. Now, I say that because for us to get nearly 100 Black people at Ebenezer Baptist Church to say, instead of going to the grocery store that I'm used to going to, I'm going to put my money up in April and then wait till October to get produce from a farm week by week. I feel a little bit like we struck gold in terms of knowing how to package and present it so that our people are moved to make decisions with their wallet and their pocketbook. And so that is one of my favorite. I remember the first Sunday that the farmers pulled up in their farm truck on Sunday morning. And, we made it so we told the farmers, listen, you got to put this on Front Street. You got to put it in the spotlight of the Black church. And that's got to be on Sunday morning. The farmers pulled up in the farm truck on Sunday morning. They had all the produce that people had ordered and paid for months ago. And the people, we had been pumping them up. I'm like Flavor Flav from Public Enemy. I'm like, y'all, it's coming. Yeah, boy, it's about to happen. Y'all just wait till we get to this program. It's going to change your whole life. Everybody pumped up, right? I preached a sermon on Creation Care Sunday. Pastor Warnock had me preach two Creation Care Sundays in a row. Earth Day. I'll preach the Earth Day message. And so connecting the biblical and spiritual, religious and cultural, that was coming from the pulpit, and the people were getting inspired. Reverend Ethel Richards, who our partner down there, she was sending out recipes and notices beforehand. So we was priming the whole environment. So by the time them farmers pulled up, you would have thought Michael Jackson was back in Atlanta. And then on top of that, the farmer threw in something. And this is what farmers tend to do. The farmer threw in like 100 watermelons on top of the orders that people paid for. We stacked them watermelons out front, the marquee. So here you got Ebenezer Baptist Church, you got Dr. King's name, and you got watermelons on the front yard of Ebenezer Baptist Church. Can you see the picture?
I can see it. Take the picture.
That's one of my favorite memories, and we pray to replicate that now across the country. Basically eliminate the middleman and reconnect Black farmers and Black churches like we used to be back in the day. Black farmers and Black faith communities used to be like this. And now we're helping to bring that back to what it used to be for our health, economic opportunity. The farmers did well financially. We're getting healthier. It feels good. Mental health. It's just checking so many boxes. That's one of my favorite stories.
That's powerful. It really connects with this next question I'm going to ask you, because, I'm thinking about what you said, what Raphael Warnock shared, which is the helping them shift from charity to justice. When I think about charity, it's a short-term fix. When I think about justice, it's long-term and focused on lasting change. So how do you approach solutions that you all provide in a way that creates lasting change rather than just a short-term fix?
One of the things that we found important was to honor what we have done in our churches when it comes to food charity. I think it's a mistake to denigrate it to the point where it's like, why y'all doing that? That's terrible. No. Sister Johnson and Mother Beulah and them been working that pantry and that soup kitchen and that food distribution for 50 years out of their love for God and their love for people and trying to meet the needs of those in their community. That is deserving of honor, and we should honor it. As we honor it, it also makes room for us to enhance it and say, Mother, y'all been doing such a great job. This is beautiful. And what I know is, I know that you do not believe that these same families that keep coming week by week, I know you don't believe that this is their ultimate destiny and what God wants for their lives. To be in your line every week, receiving food for the rest of their lives. Let's enhance what you have done. So one of the enhancements, for example, is keep your pantry going, but let's also get this garden going on the land that y'all own so that we can grow some of our own stuff. So even if you get some food from the food bank, all right, fine. We're gonna enhance what you get from the food bank. especially if you're just getting non-perishable food items from the food bank. If all you're getting from the food bank is in cans and you got land, then we got a chance to grow some stuff and put it alongside what you're getting from the food bank. That's an enhancement that keeps what they have in place, but just adds components that makes them feel even better about what they're doing, because they know that canned food is high in sodium and creates health challenges. They know that, but they just need, show me something better. Show me what else I can do. So that's an example. I think we got to, that's one example. But generally speaking, what I'm saying is we have to do a better job of honoring what people have been doing. And I just think sometimes we are too quick to delete, to reject, to cancel, to call out, the well-intentioned efforts of good-hearted people who, with leadership and an idea for something, a spark of something different, are more than willing to do it. You just got to take your time and present it in a way that honors what they've already done. So that's what I would say to that. I think you got to show how it connects. And I'll say one other thing real quick. You got to show examples of other groups, ministries, organizations that have done something that church might feel is attainable for them. So if you got like a small storefront church and you give them an example of like a church that has mega numbers and say, look, their church is doing X, Y, Z, but church over here knows all they got is 5 members. You have not given them a picture of what they believe is possible for their church where they are. And so what I'm trying to do better with, and what we try to do, is I'm not going to bring you examples that seem like it's in a different universe for your church. I'm going to show you what the church around the corner is doing and what they've added to what they've done and how you can do the same thing. And so the history piece is important. The context piece is important as well.
You started out with sharing 3 values: agency, love, and justice.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious about how you align funding and resources with your mission, the Black Church Food Security Network, without compromising your values.
Yeah, this is such a great question. So right out the gate is what I found. I look back and I thank my younger self for this. I didn't fully know what I was doing. But it was important for us. We're called the Black Church Food Security Network. And we are blackety black through and through in all that we do, without apology, right? We blackety black. And when I founded the organization 10 years ago, the emphasis on Black was a lot of me beating my chest about how we got, we're not bowing down to other people. No, we're going to do what we got to do for ourselves. And yes, that's still there. I'm not beating my chest as much. I got some grays in my chin that make me, okay. We Black. We see you. You're Black. Okay, great. You're Black. Okay. So, but when I was doing that when I was younger, what I was trying to be very emphatic about was our commitment to the Black community. I did not realize, Stephen, how important that would be for engaging with funders. The funding piece was important. That connection is important for me because what our public celebration of our identity and our history and heritage, and the politics around the Black freedom struggle, which is very much so a part of who we are as an organization. We definitely see ourselves in the lineage and family tree of people like Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer and the Black Panther Party with their food programs and so much more. That's our family tree. Because we were clear about that at the starting line, it had this effect of keeping funders away that were uncomfortable by that, and calling forward those funders who were trying to put more support around Black self-determination and self-help initiatives, community-led efforts. So there are funders, and there's been some growth. Y'all know better than me, but there have been some evolution. This is not a static community. There's been evolution and growth in funding circles where more and more funders are recognizing the importance of supporting efforts that are really tied to cultural identity and heritage. And because of that, we have gotten support primarily from family foundations. And so we don't have government funding, corporate foundations. We've got a little bit here and there, but the overwhelming majority of our financial support comes from family foundations. And I love that because I've literally sat with family members, shared their story, answered questions directly, and then developed relationships with people. And so it's not this transactional business. In fact, there were some funders who came forward during the pandemic, and during the pandemic, we got more attention from, than it was amazing how much our phones were ringing during the pandemic. It's like everybody wanted to talk about food systems when the corporate food system started to buckle at its knees. But we got some folks who wanted to give us money. And I still remember politely declining because their values did not align with ours. And they were looking more for transactional type of efforts. And what we're about is relationship. The other thing is our organization being rooted in the bosom of the Black church, it gives us an extra layer of support that says if every funder leaves, we still have our base of power that's organized and ready. And over time, one of our midterm goals is to wean ourselves off of such high dependence on grants as we increase our financial support that we receive from our churches and our network, so that our network funds the bulk of our work. We're not quite there yet, but that's what the direction that we're leaning into. And that will give us even greater independence to do what we need to do in our community for our collective benefit.
That's good.
Thank you. This is really good. I just want to highlight in what you said for those who are listening in, benefit for you and your work was being unapologetic about who you are, which essentially translates to a niche, right? And so I do know there are entrepreneurs who are hesitant about honing down on a particular niche or being unapologetic because they think that it will cut them off from funding. Whereas clearly your example shows it may be funding in different ways, but that money is coming in. And these are people who are aligned with who you all are, with what the focus of your work is, and align with the values. I also think it's really important, this piece that you mentioned around relationships, the benefit of relationships versus something that's transactional, and being conscious of when you say yes and when you say no. And then the last piece, and Stephen and I have talked about this before in previous episodes, the importance of your customers, or even in your case, Heber, beneficiaries and customers, your business being sustained by the people that you directly work with and impact the most versus relying solely on funding. So I just want to highlight those pieces for those of you who are tuning in. And I want to end this portion of our conversation with one important question.
Yeah.
What are one or two insights that you gain from your journey of shifting from being a pastor of a congregation to leading a business?
Wow. That's good. Here's one. I thought that when I stepped down from Pleasant Hope Baptist Church to lead the Black Church Food Security Network full time, I thought that my days of preaching were done. I thought that, I'm going to the farm. I was excited about it. I'm going to the farm, y'all. Listen, y'all do that church thing. I'm going outside. Yes, I'll come back and visit church, do the church thing, whatever, but I'm really more so outside. And it's not the truth. Now, I went from pastoring one church to being a leadership figure in nearly 300 congregations in our network. And even beyond that, the influence that I have. I got a text the other morning. This thing happens now where people are in class and they're studying our work as a part of their PhD or D-Min stuff. And they'll take a picture of my face on the screen and say, "Hey, Heber, we studying you in our class." Somebody did it to me last week. They in a D-Min program at Duke. It was like, "Man, you on my screen this morning." And so that I'm saying that to say the influence has gone even further than just our network alone. But my point in raising all this was to say that I thought that we had grown to the place where I was ready to just step out more fully into the farming stuff, because that's a personal passion of mine. But we started to experience some turbulence when I started drifting too far from the church. So I had to come back to church. And now I'm preaching, teaching, doing Bible studies, discipleship classes, but for many more churches. And so that was something that I thought would go one way. It was like, no, stay connected with your base. So for business owners or what have you, you got to stay locked in with your base. No matter how much growth you experience or other people that you bring on staff, there are certain things where if you leave it, it's going to create turbulence and static on the line of your effectiveness as a business or organization. Some things you'll never be able to delegate. I'll never be able to delegate my relationships with Mother Johnson, who brought me a sweet potato pie because she knows I like sweet potato pie. Like those type of things, you can't just put into a database and say, I want to give this to the intern. Now, intern, you're responsible for that relationship with Mother Johnson. Mm-hmm. No, it's too valuable. Don't do that. At most, maybe share the relationship, but don't just leave the base and then be surprised when things start getting shaky. So that's one. And another thing I would say is being very clear about, where's the sweet spot of your genius? And then where do you need further support and mentors, or maybe where do you need to bring others alongside to do certain aspects? And so for me, just to pull back the curtain, I'm a preacher, y'all. I can tell stories. I can do the heart. I can connect the dots on meaning. Meaning making is important. I am a community organizer, so strategy and all that's important. Administratively, execution, operations. These are things I can do, but there's others who can do it so much better than me. And the organization is better when I release some stuff on those sides where I'm very clear that from a technical standpoint, it's not the sharpest, place of gifting for me. And to be able to say that without your ego being offended, like, just be real. You don't have to do everything. That was very important for me to learn. Oh, one more thing. Can I add one more? Scaling. I've gotten some great wisdom. Initially, y'all, I thought scaling for the Black Church Food Security Network meant that every Black church in the United States is going to be in our network, and I'm personally going to be flying back and forth, being John the Baptist, connecting all the dots, making it all work. And in the words of my grandmother, bless his heart, I tried. Bless his heart, that baby thought he was going to do all that, because I had what I now believe is an antiquated notion of scaling. Mm-hmm. And I thought scaling only meant operations everywhere and me doing all the stuff. But now I'm embracing a definition and description of scaling that says, no, what would it look like to scale deep where you are, right? And then beyond where you are, beyond where your feet are, you scale philosophy. You scale the way of being. You scale the ideas. And then because it's an ecosystem, when you scale an idea or philosophy and it begins to mutate in a way that's beneficial to the ecosystem, celebrate it, encourage it, fan the flames of it. We've put money behind stuff that people have come up with in the ecosystem. We'll go put some money behind it and say, yeah, go run with that. Go pioneer that. Go be the early adapter of that thing. I'm curious what that will look like. That's the beauty of this work that we're in, that it's an ecosystem that's going to grow so big that additional nodes will be established. And for a while, I might be a little bit of a conductor, but eventually it'll be less and less of Heber having to conduct, because the values now will be guiding. And then the network will be growing. It'll become a dynamic place of shared learning and growth and mistakes and lessons and conflict resolution. But that's the beauty of what this ecosystem can be if we steward it.
Man, this is such a rich story and storytelling about your business. And it speaks to just, the importance of, you rather have like 100 cheerleaders of your business, clients, customers, than to have 1,000 lukewarm people who are like, maybe. And I think this is important for entrepreneurs who think about how do they think very clearly about their customer base, how they attend to them, and how they help them to help how they help their customers, and their customers in turn help them build their business. So this is wonderful.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Danielle.
And I'm Stephen Lewis, and we're the co-founders of DoGoodX.
If you are building a purpose-driven business and generating $60,000 or more annually, this fall, we have created something just for you. It's an experience designed to help you scale with clarity and support.
And so from November 6th through 8th, we're gathering a small group of underestimated, impact-focused social entrepreneurs for an intimate weekend here in Atlanta.
This is the launch of DoGoodX's Mastermind community, starting with this in-person retreat. This is a chance to really decelerate from the hustle, reconnect with your inner wisdom, and align with mentors and tools to grow your business in ways that honor your values, but also your well-being.
And you'll walk away with renewed clarity, expert insights, real relationships, and an action plan to scale your impact without burning out.
And for those of you who are ready to go deeper, you'll be invited into our 6-month Mastermind experience, a coaching and education journey rooted in purpose, faith, and community.
Spots are limited, and we invite you to dogoodx.org/mastermind community to learn more and apply today.
We can't wait to welcome you to Atlanta in November.
It's time for our resource roundup. And this is where we gather tools and tips and resources that can help entrepreneurs to build strong and sustainable businesses. So the first question that we have for you is, what resource has been most critical for your entrepreneurial journey and aptitude that might be beneficial to other social entrepreneurs?
Catch a Fire. It is like a volunteer, but it's not like a regular volunteer group or platform. It's like highly skilled volunteers who create databases, who do research, who do analysis, who whatever it might be, they can, different skill sets. Catch a Fire. You have to be invited into it by a member or a funder or some group that's already a part of it. You get an invitation to get in. And once you get in, you post a need. Like I did one recently. I needed some help analyzing some spreadsheets related to our finances. I put it online. Stephen, I had people from the UK, from India, Australia, all over the world who are saying, hey, I want to do that. These are people who get inspired and energized by helping business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders of social impact organizations figure out complex and wicked problems.
Wow.
And so Catch a Fire. Just Google that, look it up. Now, you do have to do some relationship building on finding somebody who's already in to get you in terms of the funder level or what have you. But it has been quite the valuable resource for our organization over the years. It's helped us to kind of increase our output without staffing up.
That's great.
You can't always afford staff to do some of the complex things, but that resource has been helpful for us.
What practices would you recommend to entrepreneurs to stay grounded in their purpose?
Do something else other than your business, please. Do something else. Get some, and maybe put some people around you who love you and know you enough to be able to pull you out of it where you need to be pulled out. I will confess, I need to be pulled out because, as you may be able to see, I love this work. I breathe it. I really believe I'd be happy if for the rest of my life, I'm just doing this ecosystem kind of work. That said, a brother like to go outside and take a walk every now and then. Somebody come help me because I'll get so deep into it that I lose track of time and lose track of the margins of how much this is taking up my life, and other margins getting smaller and smaller. So I would say, listen, I get the passion. I get the early morning, late night, when nobody else will. I'm doing it. Holidays, I'm work. I get it. But sometimes we got to be saved from the things we love, and having accountability in place so that people who you respect and will listen to can be like, Kimberly, come on now. You've been at this desk all day. Let's go get some ice cream. Stephen, come on. Let's do something else. I need that more. I'm saying out loud, I'm really talking to myself. because I think that's something I would love to share with those who are newer or earlier in their businesses. Don't let it be all consuming. You have a life outside of this.
So what tools, systems, or practices have been most helpful in organizing and scaling your work or deepening your impact?
Tips. Do it broke. And it kind of connects to an earlier question too, about funding, that, because I learned how to grow this thing without a grant, it made it easier not to be so desperate when it came to making decisions regarding who we accepted money from or did not accept money from. I know how to do it broke. Even personally, thank God I grew up, my family was poor. So I know what sandwiches, how good a sandwich is without meat, because we couldn't afford it. Government cheese, been there, done that. Hand-me-downs, been there, done that. Bologna in the frying pan, slice the four corners, like to watch the bubble rise up in the middle. Been there, done that, right? So because I've been there, done that, I think sometimes we need to honor that as like being resilient, resourceful, knowledgeable, experienced. So it meant when I'm leading an organization, I ain't scared of broke. I've been broke most of my life. What you talking about? I know what being broke is. And so I would say a tip: learn how to do what you need to do with as little resources possible and be faithful and good steward over that. And don't chase money first. Get comfortable doing that first and let it grow organically, just like a garden, so to speak. So I'll say that as in terms of a tip. And in terms of a resource, I didn't go to grant writing school. When we got time to get some grants, I didn't go to grant writing school. I just wrote stories. Our first grant, it was like $250. And I was doing backflips over that $250. And I never want to get so deep in this work that I don't remember what it felt like when I put words on a page that resulted in somebody sliding $250 across the desk. So even if you don't have professional skill certification, I'm not gone to the right school, I don't have the right degree, I don't have this, that, or the other, honor that which you have. What's in your hand? That's what God asked Moses in Exodus chapter 4. What do you have in your hand? And if you work that bad boy, it's going to open the doors to more resource to help you further along.
It's good.
Thank you. For those of you listening in, if this conversation is resonating with you, we'd love for you to explore more resources, upcoming opportunities, and ways you can join the Do Good X community by going to dogoodx.org. We want you to feel connected and supported on your journey. Have somebody to send you a message or call you and say, get up from that desk, get some meetings off your calendar, get outside, do something for yourself. We are going to shift to our last segment, one of our favorites, Off the Cuff. And we have several questions that we are going to ask Heber, and he hasn't seen these. So just the first thing that comes to mind as we ask these questions to you, Heber, just share that. Okay. So I'll start off with this. What has been the greatest lesson so far in your entrepreneurial journey?
One of my greatest lessons is that without me even knowing it, God was orchestrating my life to be in this position right now. And I was born for this. I was made for this. And it gives me a deep confidence.
What is one daily, weekly, or monthly practice that sets you up for success as an entrepreneur?
Journaling. Write it. Put it down. Feelings, not just the business side. If I crack this thing open, y'all gonna see tear-stained pages. Feelings, emotions, dreams, hopes. Chronicle the story, and then give yourself the gift of going back to read what you used to write about and see how you progressed and grown in so many ways.
How has your faith shaped the way you lead and build your business?
It has been truly an anchor in times when I had no other reasonable or rational reason to maintain hope. When everything I saw with my natural eyes said this is about to crash, it was my faith that taught me to trust things that you cannot see with your natural eyes and believe that you can continue to grow.
How much of your success do you attribute to your faith versus your own grit or hustle?
Oh, man. Yeah, faith is a runway and the diving board. I would say most of it is my faith, and my hustle and grit was like the sprinkle on top. That was a sprinkle. But grit and hustle alone did not do this. It was my faith that gave me what I needed to fill my sails to take this journey.
How do you navigate challenge and build your resilience?
How do I navigate challenge? Long walks by myself, therapy, remembering to keep the main thing, and again, having people around me who love me enough to remind me when I need a reminder about such things in the midst of different challenges.
Complete this sentence. Because of my entrepreneurial endeavor, businesses and communities and churches will be more able to do what?
To nourish themselves in holistic ways, to honor the earth, and to provide opportunity for the young among them to tap into their sense of purpose as well.
Thank you so much, Heber. This has been such a wonderful conversation full of insights, a powerful story of your journey and what will continue to be. Thank you for your contributions to the Black church and what you're doing to create these ecosystems to support the Black community. It's been wonderful to see the journey and the growth and the impact that you are making in these various communities, but all connected across the United States.
Well, thank y'all. Y'all been, as you just alluded, y'all been on this journey with me for a while. I really thank y'all for not checking out and leaving me. I appreciate it. We ain't done yet. There's more to come. The arc is still growing.
Yeah, Heber, thanks, man. You and your work is an inspiration. So thank you for all that you do.
And for those of you who are tuning in, we look forward to you joining us next time. And until then, be well and do good.
Thank you for listening to the Do Good X podcast. To continue the conversation or access our resources, visit www.dogoodx.org. Join us again for conversations that will nourish your soul, ignite your dreams, and empower you to build an impactful business, one intentional step at a time. Until then, keep striving, thriving, and doing good.